This video idea is brought to you by LRK Sucks. Big thanks to him for the video idea, and it's gonna be a great video. If you have any video ideas, then comment them down below and make sure to like the video as well so I can make a video out of your ideas. Okay, so I'm back after a very long break, which was fully unexpected for me and for you. Had to do a lot of schoolwork, and if you're living in the US right now, y'all are lucky with summer vacation. But finally, the important thing is that I'm back, and more consistent uploads should be back as well. So the 2021 NBA draft class is said to be one of the best in recent history. Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scottie Barnes, and Jalen Suggs rounded out the top 5 from this draft. Now, we have yet to see them play an official NBA game since the season hasn't yet begun, but they all have high hopes set on them. Although for today's video, we're not going to be looking at this draft class. We're going to be looking at the past decade's draft classes and who's the best player from each of those drafts. There's going to be some obvious ones, but there's going to be some really tough decisions as well. Stay tuned to find out. Before we begin, guys, make sure to drop a like on this video right now so you don't forget later. We are going up high and trying to reach 200 subscribers by the end of the year. So you better subscribe for more NBA videos. Also, just a quick note that we're not going to be talking about the 2019 and 2020 NBA drafts since it's not really enough time to jump onto conclusions for who is the best player from those drafts. And without further ado, let's start from the 2009 NBA draft. And this draft saw Blake Griffin go number 1 overall to the Los Angeles Clippers, but he was definitely not the best player from this draft. We have 3 players who we can narrow it down to: Jrue Holiday, James Harden, and Stephen Curry. Holiday is a great player, but just not as good as the other 2. Now, between Curry and Harden, you can actually make an argument for both, but the player that has achieved more in his career is by far Stephen Curry, and he might also be the more skilled player. Curry is a 3-time NBA champion, 2-time MVP, with one being the only unanimous in NBA history. He's a 2-time scoring champion as well, also the greatest shooter of all time. James Harden is an honorable mention, and he's a fantastic player, but he fell just short. The 2010 NBA draft was not so good, but we saw John Wall going number 1 overall to the Wizards and Paul George going number 10 to the Indiana Pacers. Wall's career really could have made him into an all-time legend, but injuries kept him from reaching that point. That's why Paul George takes the spot for the best player from the 2010 NBA draft. John Wall is a great runner-up, but like I said, injuries just kept him from reaching that unimaginable point that he would have reached if he were not to get injured, especially that Achilles injury after his ACL tear. Now, you might notice a pattern. The number 1 overall picks from the drafts we talked about so far were not the best players from the draft, and this trend continues. The first overall pick in 2011 was Kyrie Irving, a great player himself, but just not as good as Kawhi Leonard at pick number 15, who's one of the best players in the NBA today. Some other notable players from this draft are Klay Thompson, Kemba Walker, and Reggie Jackson. The 2012 NBA draft breaks the pattern of the sad number 1 overall picks, and the best player from this draft was Anthony Davis, the first pick in the draft. Damian Lillard, who went to the Blazers at number 6, might be more skilled than Davis, but Davis is an NBA champion, which puts him slightly ahead of Dame, especially to me. I don't know about you guys. Other great players from this draft were Bradley Beal, Draymond Green, and Chris Middleton, the latest NBA champion. The 2013 NBA draft is infamously known to have the biggest number 1 overall pick bust of all time in Anthony Bennett. The sadness continues.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
But talking about the best player from this draft is by far Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis just won an NBA championship and the Finals MVP. He has 2 regular season MVPs already and has a long way to go and definitely will achieve more throughout the rest of his career. Other players from this draft include CJ McCollum, Victor Oladipo, Dennis Schroeder. Let's just not talk about Dennis Schroeder. That guy messed up so bad.
You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
And Rudy Gobert. The 2014 NBA draft has another bust-type player, although last season he did fairly decent, and it was Andrew Wiggins. He's not the best player from this draft since there's a lot of other players who are better than him coming from 2014. Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Zach LaVine, and Julius Randle, who were all All-Stars this year, but Jokic won the MVP this year over Joel Embiid, who finished 2nd. That's why he's the best player from this draft. This is just sad, by the way, but the best player from the 2015 NBA draft was also not the first pick, which happened to be Karl Anthony Towns. You might be wondering, how is somebody better than Kat, especially in a very poor 2015 NBA draft? Well, it's Devin Booker. This playoff really showed us that Booker is a really great scorer and can have a really good role on a championship contending team. Cat might be the better overall player, but Booker has shown that he can achieve more. Even though it was with the help of Chris Paul, he had a huge role on the Suns' success as well. And now coming into the 2016 NBA draft, featuring Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, and Jaylen Brown in the top 3, but the best player from this draft is Domantas Sabonis, who has been named to more All-Star teams than them. If we were to talk about who would be better at the end of their careers, Jaylen Brown looks like he might take that spot, but this is who is just better as of now. And Ben Simmons, well, moving on. I just don't want to talk about Simmons at all.
Spins on Gallinari, gives it up, oh, it was right there. And
The 2017 NBA draft gave us some really good players, but the best of the best is Jason Tatum. Donovan Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox, Kyle Kuzma, John Collins, OG Anunoby, and Lonzo Ball are all great, but the honorable mention out of these players is Donovan Mitchell, who had an immediate impact on the Jazz's franchise. And coming into the last draft of the video, the 2018 NBA draft. This is arguably the best draft class of the past decade, and we have players like Trae Young, DeAndre Ayton, who both made deep playoff runs this season. We have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Michael Porter, who are upcoming talents of the league. But the best player from this class, who's also a top 5 player in the NBA today, in the span of 3 years only, is Luka Doncic. Doncic is the next face of the league, according to many, and it would do him wrong to put him another player at this spot. Luka could have made a deep playoff run himself, but the team that he's surrounded by just isn't good.
Couple of conference finals back when he was with the Pacers. Good deep.
Still did a very good job. 5 for 5 from the free throw line. If he can duplicate that and knock down a couple of field goals, all of a sudden he's right there at the 8 tier for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and that's Rondo.
Porzingis has had a rough shooting game. Came back and beat the Bulls.
And make no mistake, there was an injury in that helped.
Doncic to Porzingis. Forces up the shot. Offline. Nothing but white shirts inside.
Rondo did a great job of collapsing the defense there.
Hardaway back to Porzingis. Help me! Help me!
That was the last draft of this video, guys, and I hope you enjoyed throughout. If you're still here, then click the like button to show that you watched the full video. Once again, a huge shout out to LRKIE Sucks for the epic video idea, and see you all next time.